Welcome to Paul's Toolbox. Now we're going to start on the oven cabinet. In the previous video I showed you how to do the refrigerator panels and the refrigerator cabinet. Now we're going to go to the next tile cabinet. When you do a double oven cabinet, there are certain things that you need to know about it. Even a single oven cabinet, they're different than your regular cabinets. Nothing major, but they're different, and you need to know some of the things that you have to address when you're doing this. Here's something that's real important. You have a double oven going back here. A lot of the new ovens, they will stick out. They're exactly 24 inches deep. So when you put this cabinet in here, if you don't cut this back panel out, it's going to touch that and stick out about a 1/4 inch right here. You'll have to trim it. So what I did was, I took this cabinet, laid it down on its face. Then I cut the panel out. I marked off my panel. I put a couple of screws right here just to hold it. So when I made the cuts, I can just pull it out. And that's all you do. You take that panel out, you have this opening here, and we're going to put the cabinet in. First thing we want to do is put a filler right here, because I don't want this against the wall. If it's up against the wall and this full overlay door goes to open, it's going to hit the door frame. You can't have that, so we're going to space it off the wall. Also, I want to have room to put that big oven in here, and I don't want to be fumbling around with that, so you have to have clearance. That door is going to have to open, and it sits out over here. You don't want it anywhere near this frame. So we have a 2-inch filler that's going to go right here, and I'm going to rip it right now. The saw is unplugged. I set it at 2 inches to the inside of this blade, because this part right here is what I need to be 2 inches, a full 2 inches. Take this door off of it so I can put a clamp on this filler and get it in there tight. I'm going to put my screw about 1 inch down from the top, because I don't want to put it too close to that top where I could split the wood. So I'm going to go down about 1 inch, pre-drill this good, and I'm using a 2.5 inch screw to kind of sink into there. Make sure you get this nice and smooth. You don't want to feel a ridge. You want it nice and smooth. If you have a ridge in there and it's sticking out, it doesn't look as good. So let's get this tight. I'll walk it down, bring it down a little further. Since I'm putting my screws on the back side and not in the face, I can run several screws if I need to get this tight. Now we're ready to set it in place so I can get my measurements to cut out my outlet. The back of the cabinet needs to come up a little bit, like this, so I'm going to have to put a tiny shim in the back. I'm going to put it on this side, get it level, then I'll see what I have from that side. I'll put my shim on the bottom of this cabinet. I have to take and make sure that this is level, so when I put my level on it, I can see I'm low on that side right there. I'll take my shim and put underneath my level on top of the highest part of the cabinet, this part right here. Then I can adjust it and see where I need to go with the height. This is where I need to go. I'm going to break it off right here. I'll scribe it, break it off, put that in the bottom corner. That's how much I need to put in the back of this cabinet. Put my shim in that back corner. Take my cabinet and put it right back into place. Put my shim back where it belongs. Now, I mark my wall right here and here. This is where the base cabinet goes, and this is where the wall cabinet goes. Then I mark the floor in the exact spot, because I want to be able to position this in the exact spot to line up that outlet. I don't want anything crooked or any holes that are off. We want to check our lines with the level just to make sure I didn't make any mistakes. On the money right here. And we're on the money right here. I always measure from my top line. Never measure from your floor. Your top line is your level line. You know you're going to be right. And you have to have a reference point from one side or the other on the cabinet. I already had a filler here. I know this is the side of the cabinet, the back side, so I'll get a perfect measurement from there over. When I take my outlet, I'm going to look to see where my box is. And I'll go right on the side of that box. And I can put it just to the inside of the box, a little bit past the edge. That way I don't have too big of a hole on the two sides. So these side parts, we're going to measure from there. I'll get my measurements. And then up and down, I'm going to get my measurement from here, and I'm going to put my horizontal lines. When I cut this hole out, I'm not going to put it exactly where that box is. I'm going to put it right on the inside of this lip, but I'll leave room for that screw to go in there. So he can take it from the inside of my cabinet and run a longer screw and bite into that box. So I'm going to put my line right there and just right here. So I'll get this measurement from the top to here, and the two sides will go from here to here. That way I know where my box is. This clip right here moves in and out for the thickness of the end clip. It compensates for it. So if you're going on the inside of this line, push that clip in. If you're on the outside of the line, pull it out. I like to put it right on the inside of the line and keep it tight. Right here I have 25 1/8. So I'm going to write it right here on the wall, clearly, 25 1/8. And then my next one, now I'm going to get my top one. 12 1/4. I always take my cabinet and mark an X on the side that I'm measuring off of. So if I walk away, take lunch or whatever and come back, I'm not going to start measuring from the other side. We want to make sure that's correct. I'm going to use the Savage Proscribed tape by Swanson Tool Company to make these lines, and you'll see why. It's perfect for doing cabinet work. First I'm going to take and mark my lines from the side, but I want to get an area where I'm going to start off from. And I know I'm going down 12 1/4 inches, so I'll pull my tape out, 12 1/4 inches, and mark a little line. Now I can take this from the side, and I got 25 1/8. So I'll pull my tape measure out to 25 1/8. Lock it in place. Now I can mark my mark. And I go to 27. That's my other mark. Now I'm going to go down with it. So I'm 12 1/4 to 16. I'll pull this down to 12 1/4. Lock it into place. Of course, it's going to stay right there. I'm right on 12 1/4. And I'll go to 16. 16. That's my lines. And if I want to make this line up, again, all I have to do is put it in place and drag this line over further. And the same here, I can just line it up. Now, that's where I need to cut my outlet box. I'm going to take my tape and go double check before I make this cut. You want to make sure it's right. Start off at 12 1/4. I can pull it out to 12 1/4, set it on that line, and it's right on the money. I can make a divot in there because I have a stainless steel point right here. So I can make a divot right on that line and make sure that I'm in the perfect spot. The next one's 16. We'll put it right on 16. And that should line up perfectly. And make another divot. Now I'll take it and pull it to 27 inches. Lock it in place. I'll take the end clip and put on that end. And I can put it right here. Push my divot. And you can see I'm on the money. I like to use heavy blades. This is a Bosch blade, and it's really thick, so it doesn't flex a lot. I like blades like this, and especially with this point right here, I don't have to pre-drill it. I can just walk my way right into this thin plywood with it. And since it's not real flexible, I can get an accurate line by doing that still. If it was too flexible, it would jump around and I wouldn't be able to cut through there and walk through it. I'd have to pre-drill it. Sometimes you need the flexible ones or a small one when you're really scrolling, but for this blade works great. Outlet box here, and on new construction, wherever you have an outlet box, you should have a stud. So I'm going to take and check this next to the stud with a small nail. Yep, I use a little 4 or 6 penny nail, and I'll tap it right into the wall where it's not going to show, and you can tell when you hit a stud. So I'm going to take this measurement from my wall, and I'll see exactly where it is. 10 1/4 inches for the first one. On this wall, and now from that line over I should have another stud at 16 inches if the framer did a good job, and I've done a lot of work behind him, so I know he did a good job. Right on a stud. Okay, I can measure off 16 inches all the way down, and I know where my studs are. Now I'm going to carefully pick it up without damaging it. Alright, put it in place. When I put it in position, I have to pick it up because I want it to set right on top of those shims. I don't want anything moving. So I have to be careful the way I pick it up. Get it into place. Beautiful. And you see, it wants to go in. That means it's cocked a little bit because I have my line here. If I'm not on that line, my outlet's not going to line up. I know where my studs are. I already marked them. So now I can mount it to the wall. This is why the ProScribe tape measure is so good for cabinets. You get it exact every time. You can double check yourself, and look, when I put this wall plate in there and it's mounted, it's going to be perfect. You can see there's really not a whole lot to this. If you have the right tools, then you know what you're doing. If you keep following my videos, you'll know how to do everything in the kitchen. I'll see you on the next project, and don't forget to subscribe.